Hello students, we are going to learn new topics from the chapter called Money and Credit. The name of the topic is Credit Sources in India. My dear children, just in my previous videos lectures, I was explaining to you about the different credit arrangements which are available in Indian society. So in our Indian society, the peoples were taking loans from money lender, they're taking loan from traders, they're taking loans from banking sectors, they're taking loans from cooperative societies. So there are different kind of arrangements, different kind of credit arrangements which are available in Indian societies, and all these various type of loans as well as the credit arrangements can be grouped as formal sectors as well as the informal sector of loans. So here, informal sectors, we see the banking sectors, we see the cooperative sectors which are coming under the category of formal sectors. So dear students, in these informal sectors, which is including the money lenders, the traders, the employers, the relatives, the friends, all these are coming under the category of informal sectors. But in formal sectors, we see the banking sectors, we see the cooperative societies which are part of the formal sectors. So here, according to the graph which are given in NCERT books, you can see which is giving the presentations here, and according to these graph presentations we can see that there are 27% which are taking loans from the cooperative societies, and such as 7% others, 7% people are taking loans from friends and relatives, and 3% people are taking from traders, 30% people are taking from money lenders, 1% people are taking from landlords, and 25% people are taking from commercial banks. So this is the presentations which are given in the credit sources of India, and it is been given in the data of the graph which are given in the NCERT books. So my dear children, as we see that the formal sectors which is having the very interesting features, and here the formal sectors which provides the loans at a very lower rate, the interest rate is very lower here, very less here, and here during the time of taking loan at these formal sources of credit, we need to provide the collateral, the security, and in collateral and security it can be the assets, the vehicles, the property. All these are very necessary during the time of obtaining loans, and here these formal sectors of loans which are supervised by the Reserve Bank of India, and in these formal sectors already I have told you that the banking sectors as well as the cooperative societies which are coming under the category of this formal sector. So my dear children, in these formal sectors, the formal sector sources of loans which are not given in order to make more profits in the society. So here in formal sectors, it is the sectors which is from the government sides. So here the credit facilities are given to the citizens as a financial assistance, and in return the formal sectors which used to charge a very lower interest. So here in our Indian society there are so many people who are taking loans from the informal sectors. That is why always they are in debt crisis, they fall in debt trap, their recovery is very painful, they are not able to repay the loan, they are not able to repay the principal amount because the loan amount is very high. But in formal sources of credit, we see the middle classes people, the trader, the large farmer, they take loan from the formal sources of credit where the interest rate is very lower, the repayment method is very easier. That is why they are able to repay the amount. So my dear children, in order to protect the small worker, we need to increase more and more the formal sources of credit so that the small farmer, the small scale industries peoples, they will have protections in the society. So dear students, right now we are going to learn the role of RBI towards the formal sector. So dear students, as we will continue with the topic, and the topic is the role of RBI in formal sector. So students, just recently I was telling you about the role of formal sector. The formal sector who gives loans to the peoples with a very lower interest, and the repayment mode is also very flexible. So here the Reserve Bank of India is having a very prominent role in the formal sector. And what the Reserve Bank of India is doing? The Reserve Bank of India is making ensure that the bank is not giving loans only to the profit making businessmen, to the large traders, but also to the small cultivators, small scale industries, as well as to the small borrowers. So here what the banks are doing, periodically the banks are submitting all their informations to the Reserve Bank of India, and they are submitting informations regarding the loan activities, to whom they are giving loans, on what interest they are giving loans to peoples. All these informations they used to give it to the Reserve Bank of India. At the same time, the banks used to give informations regarding the interest rate, on what interest rate they are providing loans to the peoples here. So dear students, here when the banks are submitting the informations on loan activities, so here the Reserve Bank used to go through the data, and after going through the data, they used to provide some kind of directions as well as monitoring towards the bank to run the loan activities in a proper ways. So dear students, as the banks used to maintain the minimum balance here, then out of these minimum deposits or the balance, the banks used to provide loans to the peoples here. And as we see that the Reserve Banks of India, who used to monitor the banks periodically regarding the maintaining of the cash balance, as we see that the Reserve Bank of India is having very prominent role in monitoring all the Indian banks in the society. And after the monitoring, the RBI provides guidelines regarding the loan activities and various activities of the banking sector. So dear students, right now we are going to talk about the informal sector. Just recently I have told you that in these informal sectors, which is including the traders, the money lender, large farmer, the relatives, the friends, all these are coming under the category of informal sector. And in this informal sector, we see the higher interest are taken during the time of taking loans, and here there is no organizations to go through the loan activities in these informal sectors. So here periodically there is no monitoring of any organizations in these informal sectors. That is the reasons, my dear children, the poor peoples, they take loan from these informal sectors with a very higher interest, and they used to fall in debt trap, because in this informal sector the collateral procedure is very very easy. That is why the peoples are taking loans in informal sectors, but when they are taking loans in this informal sector, their interest rate is very high. So when the interest rate is very high, they are not able to repay the loan. They are always falling in debt crisis, debt trap, and their life is becoming very miserable, very painful due to all this debt crisis in the society. So dear students, as these informal sectors which is charging higher interest to the peoples, that is why most of the peoples are falling in debt trap. And here these informal sectors were giving loans in order to make more profits in the society. So when the higher rate of interest is charged in this informal sector, due to that the poor peoples were taking loans in this sector becoming very poor, and they are falling in debt trap. So my dear children, in order to develop the country, cheap and affordable loan activities is very important. If we are not going to increase these formal sectors of loan, then the country is not going to develop. So in order to develop the societies, in order to develop the peoples, we need to increase more and more the formal sectors of credit sources, so that everybody will be able to take the loans, do their business, do their agricultural activities, and they will be able to repay the principal's amount. So in order to develop the nations, we need to increase more and more all these formal sector of credit. They are such as banking sectors, the cooperative societies. All these sectors needs to be developed to develop the nations. If we are not developing the nations, then the peoples who are taking loans in these informal sectors, they will become they will have more problems in the society. So to develop the nations, my dear children, we need to increase more and more the formal sectors of loan, that is such as the banking sectors as well as the cooperative societies. If we are increasing these formal sectors of loan, then the loans will be flexible, the interest rate will be very lower, and peoples will be taking loans very easily, and they will do their activities and they will have a very comfortable life in the society. Thank you so much for listening.